Welcome back to the Unscrewed Mind. I'm Matt Williams, and today we've got another podcast upload. I'm sure you know this. Starting with episode 17, Rusty and I have added video to the mix. So now on Friday mornings, we upload an audio-only version to all the major podcasting networks. And then in the afternoon, on this YouTube channel, we upload the video version. This particular episode is number 13, where Rusty and I talk about unplugging. Over the past few years, we've both been on a spiritual journey, and that journey has caused us to take a look at things that no longer feel the same or serve the same purpose, like TV shows, movies, electronics, video games. We mentioned a bunch in this episode, social media. These have all been replaced by new habits and hobbies. For me, the stress of working all day, using devices, staring at a computer screen, and then coming home and doing the exact same thing just left me mentally fatigued, agitated, and frustrated. All these things took up way too much of my time, and the more I associated with them, the further I was pulled away from who I really am as a spiritual being, and pulled me away from things that really should have been more important to me. Now, unplugging has given me so much time back that I can read, write, create this podcast, the episodes that we record, the YouTube content that we upload. Now, if you're feeling dangerous, you can try and unplug from something for a week and see how you feel. You can use the time you get back to experience nature, read, write, or create something for yourself. If you decide to do this, in the comment section below, go ahead and tell me what you're unplugging from. And, if you can, come back and tell me how that made you feel. Even if your break from whatever isn't permanent, it will help you realize that you aren't what you do, and probably give you an overall better appreciation or feeling of gratitude for whatever it was that you unplugged from. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next video. Coming up on episode 13 of the Unscrewed Mind, Rusty and I are discussing unplugging, how we've unplugged from social media, from old habits, and how we've plugged into new, more spiritual ones, and how that's affected our lives. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
So what podcast number is this, Matthew?
13. Lucky
13.
Lucky number 13. Yeah.
Did you know that the number 13 is actually the luckiest number there is, and they just tell us that it's not?
How so?
That's just the origins of it. Look it up. Has nothing to do with this podcast, so let's move on from it.
Okay, gotcha.
Okay, so today we're talking about unplugging.
Okay.
And just disconnecting from all of the things that we do in our life that don't help you achieve the things that you want to achieve.
Okay.
And for me, this is an ongoing issue. It is definitely not something that I can tell you I am a champion at yet. But so late 2019, okay, so now let's go back to 2018, 2019 time period. Me and Matt worked together in a office setting, and Fortnite is a pretty big.
I forgot to mention earlier, the link for episode 13 is in the description below this video. So if it's more convenient for you, you can click on that, or you can just Google Unscrewed Mind. We're literally the only thing that comes up. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe. It doesn't cost you anything, and you'll be able to be notified when new content drops. See you next time.
And me and Matt both have played video games throughout our entire life and adult life. I mean, were we playing PS3 together, and then we got the PS4? or did we just start playing together at PS4?
I think PS4 was the console where we spent the most time, or it's that's where everything originated.
We would play Call of Duty just hours on end,
Yep.
um, you know, neglecting everything else in the world during that time period,
Right.
only getting up to replenish our beer or,
Go to
you
work.
know, yeah, yeah, pretty much. Or like you've been playing it so long that you're tired at this point.
Mm-hmm.
So you're like, oh, I guess I'll go to bed. But 2018, I would say that we played a ton. It maybe even started in 2017.
I don't
I
know.
can't
I don't
be for
know.
sure.
I will say that I miss those days a little bit every once in a while. I'm definitely in a better spot now, but uh, a lot of laughs were had, and just I just got to say it. Diablo 3 was an amazing game, and I had so much fun looting those dungeons with you. I don't think that
It
there's
may
anything
be
wrong with that.
saying that it may be 2016. We may have thrown away 3 years.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and in saying this, I'm not saying that playing games is a bad thing. I don't think that it is. I think that letting it become an unhealthy balance in your life is what the real problem is.
Right.
And we were to the point where we're so looking forward to doing that we were ignoring all the other things that we could be doing or learning. I mean, because you're really not learning anything when you're playing a video game except how to become better at that video game. And
Right.
while that's great, me and Matt both are not the kind, good enough at these games to be going professional or anything like that with them. So
Yeah.
it's
Unless you're
just really,
13, there's no future in
yeah,
Rocket League or Fortnite or Call of Duty or any of those things.
it's basically just two middle-aged guys that probably don't need to be playing, but it is something that's fun and a lot of people do it these days. And, just talking about it, I do have a lot of great memories on it. But towards the end of 2019, I think probably 3 months prior, or no, probably all of 2019, I gave up playing.
Hmm. Yep.
Um,
And wouldn't you say
and
like 2019 is when all of the law of attraction, law of vibration, setting goals with intention, isn't that really the time frame where all of this really started picking up steam for you?
yeah, and I mean, me moving to a new city and all of that, it was just a change in atmosphere for me. And I was just kind of disconnecting from the environment that I had been so connected with for so long.
Hmm.
So it was me getting out of my comfort zone, experiencing new things, seeing new things, and wanting to do different things. So I think I unplugged from that. Now I do have a different vice though, is playing a game called Clash Royale on my phone.
Uh-huh.
And I've deleted the game no less than 50 times. Um, and I get drawn back into it, and it's embarrassing to say. And I've spent a ton of money on it, buying the different, whatever it is inside of the game,
Man,
advancing throughout the game.
loot box, the psychology behind packs and loot boxes and opening those things and gems, it's really interesting. um but I think this time you've cut it out completely, right? Like,
Yeah.
so it's been like, this is the longest you've ever gone without it.
Yeah, so I am over the 30-day mark without the game right now. And it's just the way that I look at everything now is I kind of look and say, okay, does this have some positive impact on my life? And if the answer is no, then I have to evaluate, should I continue doing it?
Right.
And what the game was doing for me is just giving me that endorphin rush. And you get used to the mechanisms. And we've talked about the social media having that same kind of, they know what kind of movements that you're going to make on the phone and what you see and how
Mm-hmm.
you're going to become addicted to it. And I have always been somebody that says no social media. And I don't know, are you on social media, Matt?
Well, personally, kind of, but as far as the unscrewed mind goes, yeah, I mean, I think I'm managing our social media presence on Twitter and Instagram and soon to be TikTok, and then probably Facebook too. But like on a personal level, I don't post or reply or
Yeah.
update pictures or really anything like that.
Yeah, and so I've been a little bit in the conspiracy corner. Like when Facebook came out, I was like, "There's no way I'm giving my information. I don't want other people talking to me on there." Kind of strange about it because I am 36. So when I don't even know what year Facebook came out, but I want to say it was like mid 2000, like 2000, between 2003 and probably 2010, somewhere in
Uh huh.
there, and everybody was signing up, and everybody's like, "Oh, I'll find you on Facebook or whatever," and I'm like, "No, you won't." And
Nice try.
so that's been something that I think has been good because I have the personality and Matt has the personality. If we really start to give power to something like that, we will get completely engulfed in it, right?
Oh, it
We
takes
just,
over. Yep.
yeah. And that's kind of the same thing I think the video games did for us a little bit. And I think that if we could just play for a little bit, sit it down, and move on, I definitely think that it's a positive thing, no big deal. But other things that I've let go of is TV. I mean, we have TVs here in the house,
Hmm.
and I don't watch anything. I mean, people recommend shows to me all the time, and I just can't do it. I'll turn it on for a few minutes, and there's nothing to. I mean, there's just nothing there for me. I can't explain just how little I care about TV now.
By the
Movies, I feel
way,
the same
by the
way.
way, have you um have you seen The Last Dance yet? Amazing show. Amazing. The documentary about Michael Jordan?
No,
I'm kidding. I'm
definitely
kidding.
not.
I know
Definitely
you
not.
haven't watched it. I
But
know you haven't
but
watched it.
that's funny because we actually talked about that when it came out, and you'll notice that all of these media companies, social media, everything, all of them, it seems like they're all working together to let you know that this is something you need to be watching, and then you just go into the office or prior to when everybody was going into the office, you go in and it's just like you can just hear all over. Have you seen this? Have you seen this? These are so good. I mean, I remember whatever you just named. I remember it, but I didn't remember the name of it. The Michael Jordan thing, and
Yeah, The Last
then
Dance. Yeah.
the other one that did get me because I was still watching TV at the time was the what was it called? How to Catch a Murderer, or uh, the guy that uh, I'm not gonna remember it now that I want to say it, but it was like the guy that runs the junkyard that killed the woman
Yeah.
supposedly.
I don't
Uh,
remember that one, but did you catch up did you get caught up by the Tiger King?
no, no, no.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Absolutely not. But those are like three right there that just hit really hard. Everybody was talking about them. You couldn't avoid hearing about it. I mean, people would just get on conference calls, whatever, and they'd be like, "Oh, before we start today, I just wanted to see, did anybody have a chance to see that?" And you're just like, no. But so many people, gurus, some people call them, or people that have had extremely successful careers. One of the first things that they say that they've done is get rid of TV, get rid of things that waste their time, and they
Mhm.
start reading and learning. And this is something that I wouldn't do previously, not because of I don't like to learn, but just I was thinking, okay, do I really want to learn about that subject? Yes or no? Because if it's something to do with work, or if it's something to do, with things that I'm just normally interested in, I'll dive completely in, dissect it, study it. I mean, I love trucks, vehicles, period.
Mm-hmm.
And, when I go to the dealership to buy a new car, I'm asking the salesperson questions that I know the answer to just for fun. I mean, it's pitiful,
You
but
know, you know more than they do when you show up to buy it.
oh yeah, I mean, it's a goal to make sure that I do know more than they could ever imagine.
Yeah.
So so I really do spend a lot of time, studying and learning about things that I was just interested in. So the shift, though, to me is I've started looking into things that not, it doesn't really spark my, whatever. I don't get overly excited about it, but I start looking into it and I've started learning from that perspective more than I don't know. I'm not making it real clear what I'm trying to say. But anyway, I've broadened my horizons. We'll just say that. Just turning off the TV and turning off the games. The iPhone, another problem is I've deleted probably, and anybody that's seen my phone before knows that I have like every app that was made for a certain
Yeah.
period of time.
And not the free version. You had every app that was
Yeah,
made, the paid version.
just loading up. And but no social media, but YouTube I guess is considered social media, and I love
No, it is.
YouTube.
Yeah.
But at the beginning of this year, I was like, okay, I've got to get serious about my phone because I know that it's a distraction for me. Even though, I've killed off all this other stuff, I'm still getting drawn into the phone. So, is what I did is I went in, deleted apps, went in another day, deleted apps again. I mean, like it was like being ripped out of my hands. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I was like, no, I'll just keep this one. I won't check it that often. So I deleted
You're valid.
everything.
You're validating each app individually, almost like someone who's addicted to drugs. They're like, well, I could quit this or just quit on Friday and maybe Saturday too, but you got to let me keep Sunday.
Yeah. I've deleted anything that's really, I guess, attention pulling, for the most part. I do have YouTube back on the phone. I deleted it, but brought it back on so I could, of course, watch our YouTube videos. But I'm not just sitting on YouTube, like I was. I was just always listening to something, and I didn't feel like that I was getting enough action out of myself. So it's been a nice change. And another thing that I've added into my life because I've unplugged from this stuff, and it has a set routine, is I'm going to Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. And it's been really great because I know that I've got Monday, Wednesday, Friday that I've got to be there. And if I'm not there, it's kind of like you're on a team when you're doing Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. So I know if I'm not there that the person that I'm normally sparring with or rolling with, whatever you want to call it won't have a person, or that, you know what I mean.
Yeah. Can
So
we
it's
talk
something
about
that's
before you go on? And I mean, you're making a great point, but does anyone that listens, do they know how tall you are? Like how big of a person you are? Like, have we talked about that?
oh no, not really. That's
Yeah.
no.
So like, so how tall? So how tall are you?
So I'm 6'4"
Uh
and
huh.
I'm 300 pounds, so I'm a huge guy.
So let's rewind this a little bit. Like, you're part
Yeah,
of a jujitsu team, right? And you
yeah.
you worry about if you don't go, you're letting someone down, right? Because they don't have a partner to spar with. And
Oh
so
yeah,
I'm picturing like just another man who's
yeah.
6'4", 300 pounds, just lonely in this dojo while everyone else is rolling. He's just sitting there like,
He's
oh, I
like,
wish Rusty was here. When in reality,
man.
The
He's the
guy who
guy.
normally spars with you is like, I'm so glad Rusty isn't here because I'm not getting my head kicked in by this dude that's 3 times the size of me, you know?
Yeah, yeah. That's probably pretty close to accurate. But it's definitely hilarious because Ben actually is my partner, and he's probably listening to the podcast. Uh, he's a big guy as well, and super strong. He's played football for years, so he definitely gives me a run for my money, and he's been doing a little bit longer. And the amazing thing about jujitsu is it's really not about your size. Strength always helps, but if you know how to do the moves, it is lights out for no matter who it is. So really exciting stuff from that perspective. And I love to go outside. We've talked, hiking, that kind of thing. We've talked about that in the past. And I just had more of a focus on things that are actually interacting in my reality instead
Mhm.
of being in a reality inside of a reality.
Yeah, don't you think that I mean all of this is tied to your spiritual awakening, right? Don't you think? Like it's
Oh,
because
yeah.
you're meditating, because you're kind of mindful of what's going on spiritually, because you're feeling these energies and these vibrations that you weren't feeling before. This is like causing you to protect your kind of your personality and your attention from outside influences, and like it's natural to move your attention inward. And when you do that, you start focusing on you and your relationships and the people close to you. Like all the need to escape your reality is gone because you're shaping your reality and you're becoming more comfortable in your own skin. And I think that like your happiness with you is keeping you from searching for happiness elsewhere, and it's causing you to learn how to make yourself more happy. So you're like finding out about meditation, and you're finding new ways to exert energy and to kind of experience stuff. And I think it's healthy and it's natural. I mean, could you imagine, with what's going on in the past few years, just from like news stories and from a cultural perspective, if you didn't have kind of that spiritual grounding, like how wound up would you be? Like how unhealthy and like how on edge would you be, as opposed to how you are now, kind of spiritually centered?
Yeah, I mean, when it seems like this movement is growing exponentially as well. And you always start to ask, or I do, is this happening because I changed, or is this happening because everyone else changed?
Yeah, yeah.
And so many people I know are not watching the news now. They're not watching TV. They're not giving away their power to things that are
Hmm.
outside of them that are not benefiting them.
Yep.
And you cannot expect somebody else to give something up just because you gave it up, though.
Hmm.
And my daughter definitely watches a ton of Netflix. She loves YouTube. um, and it's kind of, I've come up with some goals to help with that. But reading with her daily, and that kind of thing, and trying to play for a certain period of time per day, that's in my goals right now. And it's just, we're in a world that it's difficult to always you know keep the kids away from TVs and iPads and that kind of thing, because one, you haven't been able to go anywhere for the last year like you could. I'm not saying, I mean, I live in Georgia, and we've been pretty opened up for um, I guess probably 6 or 7 months now at this point. But other places, from my understanding, they're just now opening. I mean, I can't imagine. Um, but so I just think that, once you start balancing you, and then you can do things for others to help them balance themselves, but you can't say, you need to be turning off the TV, because
Well,
that's not going to work.
I think the best thing you can do is be a example.
Hmm.
If I mean you, if you're doing things the right way, people are going to notice, and then they're going to start to wonder why. And why is so and so in such a good mood all the time? Why are they so darn positive? Or why do they look so much healthier than they used to? Why are they eating different foods? Like all these things that you start to analyze and change about yourself as you go through a spiritual awakening. People are going to notice that, and they're going to ask questions, and that's when you kind of have the ability to tell them what's going on and maybe bring them along for the ride. But I know Carrie has kind of seen the changes in me, and I know that my kids have as well, because they just mentioned that I do this thing or I do that thing differently, or I'm just more available, more around, and more I guess even tempered than I have been in the past. And it's all because of what we're doing here and the spiritual journey we're on. So I think
Yeah.
it's cool stuff. It's interesting. And I
Yeah.
haven't seen their eyes in months, because they're just buried in their devices. But you know we're trying to be better. We're trying to be better.
Yeah, it's just like it's just an ongoing thing. And anybody that's out there that is starting this journey or in the middle of this journey, or you got your goals written down, you're moving towards them, you're seeing things happen, and then something goes wrong, don't get frustrated. Look back and be so thankful and grateful for what has happened, and that's going to give you the strength to keep going, because it's it's so hard to be perfect all the time.
Hmm.
And I've watched a lot of these YouTubers in the past, and I'm just like, man, these guys are just, nothing phases them, it seems,
Bulletproof. Yeah, yeah.
yeah. And I know for a fact that everyone has the same kind of struggles. And the more people that you talk to about this, they will, some people will resonate with it instantly, and they'll start talking about, oh, that sounds right, that seems like something that has happened to me. But everybody kind of has the same feeling,
Hmm. Hmm.
and so don't be too hard on yourself. And, if you just remove watching a couple of extra, a couple shows from your weekly roundup, then, that's a step towards progress. And so
Right.
small steps can lead to huge steps. That's the main thing. But I think that's pretty much, I think that's the main things that we've disconnected from. I don't know, Matt, is there something else that I know that you've been addicted to card game on the phone. Um,
Easy. Easy. Easy.
we were both big into PlayStation stuff. Is there anything else that you've really let go in the last year that you haven't? I mean, I'm reading more. You're reading more.
Yeah. I mean, you kind of hit on all of it. I mean, less electronics, less time wasting, and more uh intention with how I give my attention. So more more time with family, more time working on things that I'm passionate about, which has kind of led to a more fulfilling life experience. Like, my time is invested in editing stuff for Unscrewed Mind. It's invested in, playing games with the kids, spending time with the family, becoming a better person physically, spiritually, growing my knowledge base by reading more last year and this year than I have in the past several years combined. And um, I don't know, I just feel better about everything. I'm healthier, I'm making better food decisions, and I'm doing it all from a place of, trying to be better for those around me, instead of it being like this ego trip that I'm on, where I'm in better shape and in eating a better diet than other people around me, and it's something to like be like proud of. It's more about just making things that making decisions that make spiritual sense and that help move me towards the most enlightened version of myself that I can possibly become, hopefully, and then just living in a really positive frame of mind. I feel like I just rambled. I still have a PS4, looking for a PS5. I don't know why. It's just like my old paradigm creeping in. I still watch some sports, but not much. I watch the big games, but I'm not into it as much as I used to be, like several fantasy football leagues and all of that good stuff.
Yeah,
I think,
mean, the PS5 looks cool, so maybe
yeah.
that's what's going on. I mean,
What?
I was thinking, I was like, why didn't I buy that? Because I have literally been the person that's like outside in line for every electronic that's hot
Mm-hmm.
for 20
Yeah.
years. I mean, but the one time that I was outside waiting for the Xbox 360, I made like $12,000. So sometimes that kind of stuff leads to good things.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
No
it,
doubt. But
you know,
I just think it's natural. I mean, in the books you read, you depending on what you believe, you're a spiritual being connected to kind of a larger source, right? And when you decide to come back to earth on whatever spiritual trip this is, you have something that you're here to learn or to do, and you forget everything you knew in the past and you kind of start from scratch here. And so I think it's natural to be of the world and follow the examples that you were given and kind of get lost for a little bit. And then as you wake up, you just unplug from the system and find your true life's calling. And I just hate that it took me until, I'm 43. It took me until I was 43 to get on the proper wavelength and catch the right frequency and start moving in the right direction. And I just, I hope I haven't missed my opportunity to make a difference. And I hope that, I'm moving towards whatever my purpose is, at the fastest speed possible.
I think you're being a little bit hard on yourself. I don't think that you were just completely lost, but
Well,
I mean, Matt previously lived in a gutter and he couldn't feed his family prior to starting this podcast. So
but I would say that I wasn't, I was just in a rut, maybe not in a
big
gutter in a
difference.
physical sense, but in a, not literally, but figuratively, definitely stuck. And, I just don't feel stuck anymore. Become a part of the Unscrewed Mind by following us on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube at Unscrewed Mind. Also, feel free to email Rusty and I. Our address is unscrewedmind@gmail.com. Tell us what you thought of the show, pitch a subject for a future show, or just say hi. And until next time, stay grateful.